Encantada, perdón, encantada, encantada, perdón. Encantada, come on. Spring up. Yay. Perdón, encantado, perdón, encantado, perdón, encantado, perdón, encantado, perdón, encantado. Okay, now it actually pops up. So yeah, I got the stream up and running. So making sure everything is good, everything is present. Oh boy. So anywho, I'm just gonna go on to explain the pesos. I haven't forgot about that. So this is the general what a peso is, along with the Mexican peso, what the audio lesson kept on referring to. So yeah, I got that covered. I got that ready. But anywho, what I'm going to do is that I'm actually just going to go over all of the words I have learned. Because what is it? It's only 2 words I learned. Just 2 words. So that means that I'm going to... Oh, man, I actually have to... take a breather and just take a bit of a drink. All that such, all that forth. Okay, network connection detected. Yeah, we get it. Oh well. Anywho, I'm gonna go with the 2 words. Then I'm going to do a rapid fire of words I have trouble with. Specifically, perdón, which is excuse me, and encantado, which is pleased to meet you, because I have a hard time just remembering those phrases and such. But that would be a rapid fire, and then focus on Unit 5, because the whole time, this whole lesson, I only learned 2 new words, but the whole session was actually just working on the other words I've learned. And then I'll go on to the Mexican peso and such like that and read forward. But anywho, let's go on to the words 1, which is un. So I have to pronounce this because I have to say like un peso, un dólar. So one of a cent or one of a dollar. So such, so forth. But yeah.
One.
Yeah, one. And then un.
Un.
One, el uno. Uno, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because O is very similar to the English O. So el uno, stuff like that. So yeah, just un as one. So it's an easy chunk. I'm just going to chunk it into one, which is just UN. I feel it's just harder since it's 2 words to actually chunk it into 2 chunks for 1 word each. Plus, with un, it sounds all together. Sure, you could separate the UN with remembering like un, but pronunciation wise, everyday pronunciation, you would just hear like one person just pronouncing the whole word like un. So yeah, just UN. So you probably could remember the United Nations being abbreviated, but yeah, un, UN, backwards is NU, UN. Both pretty much UN. So, un. Now, the last one is dollar, which is el dolor or dolor.
Dollar.
Dollar,
Dólar.
dollar, dollar. Okay. Dollar. As you can see, this one has an accent. So el dollar would be $8. But if you ask a person, usted tienes $1, you don't necessarily have to remember the L. You could just say the dollar for un or el dollar. Learn that it's a bunch of context based with the sentences. So when you ask a person that, you don't have to specify exactly compared to English. So you don't have to rely on that. So that's good. But yeah, dollar, dollar. It's not dollar. It's dollar, 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 dollar. So chunking dollar, I'll chunk it into two. So the first one would be DO, remember the accent and the O, and the last chunk will be LAR, so 2 and then 3. So 23. DOLAR. Remember the accent, so DOLAR, DOLAR, DOLAR. Very, very. Oh, hold on, it's like a pretty much identical to a dollar in English, except there's no L and there's an accent O. So you can think of that. However, be careful because don't get too comfortable with it being very similar because it's that L. Not being two L's, just being one can be pretty tricky because was in a bunch of English words if there's like an L by itself. Now, if you hear the word L in a word, then most likely it might be multiple L's because what is it? That's usually the case for L's that are in the middle. Usually they're being how can I say it because it's fairly similar to where usually two O's will usually be in the end. That will be always the case from time to time. Same thing with an LL. But yeah. But anywho, just remember that it's similar to dollar. However, there's differences. O is accent, and there's only one L. So you could probably just remember the chunk. DOLAR, DOLAR, DOLAR. So dollar. DOLAR, 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 DOLAR. Backwards is RALOD. Ralod. That's what I spell with saying it RALOD backwards for DOLAR. Accent O. So for dollar. Now, anywho, rapid. Well, perdón is the word that I have issues with, that I always have to come in mind. That it always comes in mind. Man, I can't just speak right now. But yeah, perdón. Literally the first word I learned. Which is, excuse me. Another word that I learned recently, same unit, is encantado. Because for an encantado, it's a phrase which is pleased to meet you. I also get confused with encantada, which is pleased to meet you if you're a female. So that's the confusing thing about that. But I figured for most of my life, whenever I say that to people, I just learn to say encantado. So I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not much of an issue of E being masculine and feminine, but that's something to look at, especially for people if they are a female and trying to pronounced encantado. So remember, it's encantada. Differences is the O and the A. Now you have Inglés, Español, Castellano, which is pretty much Spanish in this case. I gotta keep on saying Castellano most of the time. Um, so yeah, Inglés, English, Spanish, Español, and Castellano, which is Castilian. Which, yeah, it's another term for Spanish if you're looking from Spain, and even then, that probably can be a bit hateful because of what I read up about the issues about Spain and having other native languages and trying to assimilate and all that jazz. What else? North Americano, North Americano, just because Americans. Those are the main words. Oh yeah, I haven't gone to the freaking countries, places I have to pronounce or people. Usually in examples for El Hotel or La Restaurante, so examples like La Restaurante de Boulevard or El Hotel de Colón, which the first one is the Boulevard's restaurant, El Hotel de Boulevard, or El Hotel de Colón, which is the Columbus Hotel. Apparently, Columbus in Spanish is Cologne. So, very similar to the freaking male spray. Can't think of the word. Freaking male body spray for elegant men. Now onward to entiendo, entiende, hablo, hable. You have the three phrases for meeting a person. So buenos dias for good morning, buenas tardes for good night, and then buenas noches for evening. But it could also mean good night. Oh no. I made the mistake. I said buenas tardes as good night. No, buenas tardes is good afternoon. Buenas noches is good night and evening. It's pretty confusing because every time I search it in, it always says good night and stuff like that. They don't have much of an evening time. Other than that, that's illustrations have. Now onward to Unit 5, which is the main words I have issues with is, yeah, sabe or sabes, so I know, so, or knowing specifically. So se, so no se would be I don't know. So the difference is that it's just one se versus sabes, which is SEV. SEV. Yes, that's how I pronounce it because over my notes I have like Sabir, so that's the awkward thing. Oh yeah, I'm also checking to see if everything is going good in my end because OBS is giving me red as always. But every time I always pop the page in and see the connection, the kilobits / seconds, it turns red and orange, and then when I leave it alone, OBS, it turns green. So what gives? You know what? Tomorrow I will have my laptop. I will put up my stream and see if there's any issues with having a stream that is not under freaking stream manager, and see if there is any potential lag and stuff. Because what is it? This one, the previous is not giving me a fair assessment really. But you know, this has been happening recently, so I hope it wasn't too much trouble for people who have been potentially see this from time to time. But besides that, yeah, sabes, no, so do you know, or no, or sé, no sé, so I don't know. So Um, how would I say I know? So, sé, sabe. Hmm. I actually go with I know. So, yo sé or just sé. Yeah, that's gonna be the tricky one. I gotta remember. It's just if I would refer to I know, it'd just be sé. It sounds so awkward. Versus like saying I know, is it being a sentence versus just me being a word? But context will fit. So, usted sabe, so you know, and sé, so I know or I don't know, which is no sé. And por favor, I have no issues with that. Then onward to pesos, tengo, un dólar, and such. So yeah, anywho, perdón, encantado, perdón, sabes, sé, perdón, encantado, sé, sabes, encantado, perdón. Those are the words that I keep on repeating and such. And then you have also un and dólar, along with pesos. Now, onward to pesos. We're gonna be reading the wiki, but anywho, might as well learn the basics, but we haven't, which is how to spell it. So, yeah. Give me this page. That's the same like it's not available. So that's interesting. So pesos weights. So might as well actually search in different sites. In English. Yeah, the exchange rate and such. So peso, Spanish dictionary. Now onward to peso in Spanish. Pesara. Uh, uh, oh, pesos. Okay, so yeah, it's here. But as you can see, it's not a strictly Spanish word. It could only just be a currency that other places even have. So anyway, I'm just gonna chunk it here. So right here. So pesos, which is a money currency or coins. Um, I'd like to chunk it into two. But let's see. Pesos, 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 pesos. I like to chunk it into two because the SOS stands out the most because I could just instantly remember that. You can try that out too. However, if you're following pronunciation wise, I'll chunk it to three. So first two will be PE, second two will be SO, and the last one, just one, is S because the chunks are 221, 221. Because first chunk PE, second chunk SO, and then the last chunk S. Pesos. Pesos. So I might as well practice it. Pesos. 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 That's what I mean. Pesos. I just instantly remember the SOS. 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 It's Pesos. Even backwards is easy. So SOS PE SOS PE SOS PE, so such and so forth. Now, anywho, oh boy, I got actually 10 minutes to read Wiki. Now, let me go with just peso itself, the Mexican pesos, to understand the origins, why people say pesos, why pesos is a bit important and such. So, Wikipedia article, peso. The peso is the modern monetary unit of several countries in the Americas and the Philippines. Originating in Spain, the word peso translates to weight and uses the peso sign, dollar sign. It is sometimes wrongly spoken as pieces in some countries. The silver peso, worth 8 reals, was also known in English as a Spanish dollar or piece of 8 and was a widely used international trade coin from the 16th to 19th centuries. So, yeah, it sounds very close to reals, except I keep on thinking the Brazilian reals. So, let me see. The real was a unit of currency in Spain for several centuries after the mid 14th century. Okay, yeah. So, show me anything. I'm going to still say reals. That's very close to the pronunciation. Origin, history. Yeah, you have Spain, Mexican dollar, Filipino pesos, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going to dwell towards the ancient history much. Or not first. I'm going to see how much time I have. Rather, I'm just going to go into what is it? Looking at pictures, let me read this. A Mexican dollar used as a Japanese currency, marked with Armatam Sambu Sandemi, fixed to the value of 3 bu, 1859. Used as Japanese currency, so that's interesting. But yeah, it actually does show its influence that even in a country that doesn't speak the Spanish language, they do trades and stuff like that, and this actually has some of the signs and such. So yeah, uh, yeah, you even have that very similar Chinese character of 3 under what is this? Oh, Romatized. So a Chinese character and Roman letters onto this coin with iconic hawk getting a snake sitting on the campus. Cantus? Katniss. Campus. So, cactus in the lake. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm going to show something interesting. Plus, you have the Filipino peso. The Filipino peso is derived from the Spanish silver coin Real de Ocho, or Spanish dollar, in wide circulation in the entire America and Southeast Asia during the 17th and 18th centuries, though its use in the Spanish colonies and even in the United States and Canada. Prior to 1852, the Philippines had no currency of its own, with the exception of local copper cuartos, since pesos received from Spain and Spanish Latin America were accepted in circulation. Locally issued pesos only come about with. Yeah. Okay, let me quickly read this. Insurance of Filipino peso Puerto banknotes in 1852 by the Banco Español Filipino de Isabel II, now the Bank of the Filipino Islands. The founding of the Casa de Monda de Manila Mint in 1857. Manila. Yeah, got that. De Manila Mint in 1857, and the minting of gold 1, 2, and 4 peso coins starting 1861, and the minting of 50, 20, and 10 centimil silver coins starting 1864. So all that said, it's not. Yeah, you don't really know the history of it. Just know that people refer to, let's speak in Spanish, sometimes currencies. In Mexico, currency people will be speaking would be pesos and all that such and stuff like that. So who knows? Hey, maybe if you go to Mexico and actually use money, you gotta remember pesos and dollars. Dollars is pretty universal, such. Yeah, let me finish this. As with Mexican dollars, the Filipino unit was based on silver, unlike the United States and Canada, where a gold standard operated. Thus, following the Great Silver Devaluation of 1873, the Filipino peso devaluated in parallel with the Mexican unit, and by the end of the 19th century was worth half a United States United States dollar. The name of the currency remained unchanged despite the 1896 Filipino Revolution and the subsequent Declaration of Independence in 1898. You have all the countries that use pesos: Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Philippines, Uruguay. All Spanish colonies for a time. Yeah, you also have currency: Argentina peso, Chilean peso, Colombian peso, Cuban peso, Dominican pesos. Then you have former Bolivia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Ecuador, Guinea, Guatemala, Guyana, Bissau, Honduras, Nicaragua, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Spain, Venezuela. Alrighty, I learned something new. Blow up. Scratch from what I have learned from a bunch of people about peso being just a freaking uh, Mexican currency that, and what is it? Even Filipino friends saying that it's also a Filipino currency, and that's about it. Almost every most of all Spanish colonial countries still use this form of currency that has the term peso. Yeah, even countries besides the Philippines, you had Equatorial Guinea and Guyana Bissau. These two African countries that a majority of Spanish influence, even the Spanish language, is influential. You have many speakers like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, Equatorial Guinea is actually main language is Spanish and such. Yeah. Not French, not Portuguese, uh, not English, but Spanish. So yeah, all these former Spanish colonized countries use the term peso. Bolivian peso, Costa Rican peso, Ecuadorian peso, Equatorial Guinea pesta, which I want to guess that, but it's under here. Yeah, so that is the importance of this. Now let me go on to the Mexican peso and just read forth about that. We look at pictures and so far so forth. This document just shows the differences, the technical aspects of it, the value and such like that. We're not going to study on currency because it's going to take up time. But anywho, Mexican peso. The Mexican peso, signed dollar code MXN, and the world exchange, or whenever you're actually exchanging money, if you visit any of these Latin American countries and such, is the currency of Mexico. Modern peso and dollar currencies have a common origin in the 15th, 19th century Spanish dollar, most continuing to use its dollar sign. The Mexican peso is the 15th most traded currency in the world, the third most traded currency from the Americas after the United States dollar and Canadian dollar, and the most traded currency from Latin America. Okay. The current ISO 4217 code for the peso is MXN. So this is referring to the actual code that they actually have to document, look at the books, and do the exchange process, so forth. Prior to the 1993 realizations, see below, the code NXP was used. The peso is subdivided into 100 centfolds, represented by cent unsigned. As of 9th December 2020, the peso exchange rate was 23.97 per euro and 97.83 per US dollar. Okay, so it looks like this page is always updated. Not updated today because it's like a day old. But yeah, Also, 1993 reevaluation. This probably was the NAFTA trading agreement with North America, Canada, Mexico, US, and stuff like that. But yeah, this also explains it. Most traded currency from Latin America. Probably that's why everybody who recognizes peso, it's Mexican. But no, that is wrong. Mexico is not the only country, along with Spain and the Philippines, that use peso. All most of the Spanish colonial countries, former colonial countries, use the peso currency. But anywho, yeah, all pesos. You have the eagle and the hawk thing. You have people. Yeah, you have the sense. Yeah, this popular image, which well, it's pretty important. And yeah, it shows its origin. 1904. This one looks like 1919, then 1921. Still with a hawk, such. But yeah, peso. Just remember that in the Spanish speaking world, you will hear the word peso and just know that it is coins next to dollars. So, yeah, peso is something you have to say in Spanish if you guys talking about money. So, anywho, that's pretty much it. I got that down. I learned pretty much. Nah, I like that. And I'll be practice on still saying encantado and perdón, along with no sé, sé, and sabes, usted sabes, and all that such. Well, anywho, going to sign off. So, see ya.